There is something deeply unsettling hiding inside the equations of physics. Not unsettling in a dramatic or theatrical way, but unsettling in the way that a perfectly logical argument, followed to its end, leaves you staring at a conclusion you were never prepared to accept. The conclusion is this: every choice you believe you are about to make, every turn you think you might take, every word you imagine you could say tomorrow is already fixed, already printed, already sitting in the geometry of the universe, waiting for you to arrive at it. And the reason we know this, the reason this is not speculation but a mathematical consequence of physical law, comes down to a single, strange, and world-altering fact about light. Light does not behave the way anything else in your experience behaves. When you walk toward a friend, your speed adds to theirs. When a sound wave travels from a moving train, the frequency shifts because the motion of the source contributes to the motion of the wave. Everything in your everyday world compounds, stacks, adds up. But light refuses to do this. If you fire a beam of light from a stationary laser, it travels at approximately 300 million meters per second. If you fire that same beam from a rocket moving at half the speed of light, the beam still travels at 300 million meters per second, not 300 million plus whatever the rocket contributes, just 300 million. The speed of light is not a speed that light happens to travel at. It is a constant of nature that the universe enforces with absolute rigidity, regardless of the state of motion of whoever is measuring it. Albert Einstein took this single experimental fact and asked what the universe would have to look like for it to be true. The answer demolished the idea that time is a universal river flowing at the same rate for everyone everywhere. If the speed of light is fixed for all observers, and speed is distance divided by time, then the only way two observers moving relative to each other can both measure the same speed for the same light beam is if their measurements of distance and time are different. Not approximately different. Precisely, mathematically, unavoidably different. Time itself, the rate at which moments tick by, becomes a quantity that depends on your state of motion. Two people moving relative to each other do not share the same clock. They do not share the same measure of how long a second lasts. And, far more consequentially, they do not share the same definition of what is happening right now. This is where the physics becomes genuinely strange. Physicists call this the relativity of simultaneity, and it is not a philosophical curiosity. It is a hard geometric fact about the structure of space and time. Consider two events happening at different locations in space. For one observer, those events might occur at the exact same moment. They are simultaneous. But for a second observer moving relative to the first, those same two events do not happen at the same moment. One precedes the other. And for a third observer moving in the opposite direction, the order reverses. The same two events and three different answers about when they occurred, all equally valid, all equally correct within the laws of physics. There is no universal ledger of now. There is no cosmic moment that all of space shares. What counts as the present depends entirely on the motion of the observer measuring it. To understand why this shatters the ordinary picture of free will, you need to build the right mental model of space and time together. Physicists do not think of space and time as separate things. They think of them as a single four-dimensional structure called spacetime. Every event in the history of the universe, every collision of particles, every thought that ever fired in a human brain, every light that ever switched on in a distant galaxy, occupies a specific location in this four-dimensional geometry. Not a location in space alone, a location in space-time defined by four coordinates, three spatial ones and one temporal one. Just as a point on a map has a latitude and a longitude, an event in the universe has a position in space and a position in time, and together these four numbers uniquely identify it in the fabric of reality. Your life, from birth to death, traces a path through this four-dimensional structure. Physicists call this path a worldline. It is a thread running through space-time, connecting every event in your personal history. Right now, at this moment, you occupy one specific point on that world line. A moment ago, you occupied a nearby point slightly behind you in the time direction. A moment from now, you will occupy a point slightly ahead. And here is the critical question that physics forces us to ask. Does that future point already exist? Is the event labeled tomorrow morning on your worldline a real geometric location in the four-dimensional fabric of the universe? Or is it an empty void waiting to be filled in by your choices? The mathematics of special relativity gives a very clean answer. And that answer is uncomfortable. Return to the relativity of simultaneity and push it to its logical conclusion. You are sitting on Earth reading these words. Somewhere out in the Andromeda galaxy, roughly 2.5 million light years away, there is an alien civilization going about its business. If that alien is standing still relative to Earth, then their definition of now, their slice of the universe they call the present moment, contains the same events on Earth that you would call the present. You and the alien share a now, at least approximately. But now suppose that alien begins walking, not flying, not traveling at enormous speed, simply walking away from Earth at a leisurely pace. Because of the relativity of simultaneity, their slice of now, their definition of the present moment across the universe tilts. And because of the vast distance between Earth and Andromeda, that gentle tilt, applied across 2.5 million light years of space, shifts the alien's definition of now on Earth by hundreds of years. An alien walking away from Earth at a walking pace looks out across the universe and calls now a moment on Earth that you would place centuries in your future. Pause on that. An alien simply walking in one direction has a present moment that contains your great-great-grandchildren's lives. An alien walking in the opposite direction has a present moment that contains events from your ancient past. The alien is not moving fast. The alien is not doing anything exotic. The alien is walking. And the physics of special relativity, which has been confirmed by every experiment ever devised to test it, tells us that each of these definitions of now is equally valid. None is more correct than another. The future that the first alien calls now is just as geometrically real as the past the second alien calls now. If something can be someone's now, it exists. It is not a potential, it is not a probability. It is a real location in the four-dimensional geometry of the universe, as concrete as a stone sitting on a table. The alien walking away from Earth is not describing a hypothetical or a projected future. They are pointing at a real region of space-time and calling it the present. That region contains events in your future, which means your future events are real. They have coordinates. They are already there. This is what physicists mean by the block universe. The universe is not a story being written in real time, one moment spilling into the next as choices are made and futures are born. The universe is a completed four-dimensional object, extending through time in the same way it extends through space. Every moment that has ever happened, every moment happening now, and every moment that will ever happen, all of them are equally real locations in the same unchanging geometric structure. Time is not a river that flows. Time is a dimension, like space, and all parts of it exist simultaneously in the block. Think of it this way. Imagine a film reel. The full reel, from the opening frame to the final frame, exists as a complete physical object. Every scene is already there, already printed, already encoded in the physical arrangement of molecules on the film. When you sit in a theater and watch the film, the projector illuminates one frame at a time, and you experience the story as unfolding, as happening now, as moving forward into an uncertain future. But the film does not care about your experience. The final scene was already there before the projector ever reached it. The plot twist in the middle was already printed before the audience arrived. The projector light moving through the film creates the vivid illusion of a present moment, of a story being told right now, of a future that has not yet arrived. But none of that matches the physical reality of the real, which is a static, complete, finished object. Consciousness is the projector light. The four-dimensional block of space-time is the film reel. Your feeling of moving through time, of being in the present, of facing an open future full of genuine possibilities is the experience of a projector illuminating one frame while the rest of the reel sits in the dark, already printed, already fixed, already complete. The darkness does not mean the future frames are empty. It means the projector has not reached them yet. Now bring the hard physics back in, because this is not merely a poetic analogy. It follows directly from what we established about the relativity of simultaneity. If the future is not geometrically real, If tomorrow's events do not already have fixed coordinates in the four-dimensional fabric, then the alien walking away from Earth would be pointing at nothing. Their slice of now would be empty, but we cannot say their slice of now is empty because the physics treats every inertial frame of reference as equally valid. No observer's definition of now is privileged. No observer's present is more real than another's. If you deny the geometric reality of the alien's present, you are forced to deny the geometric reality of your own. The only self-consistent position the mathematics allows is to say that all moments, past, present, and future, are equally real geometric locations in space-time. The implications for what we call free will are direct. Free will, in the most natural and meaningful sense of the phrase, requires that the future be open. It requires that when you face a decision, the outcome of that decision is genuinely undetermined, that multiple futures exist as real possibilities, and that your deliberation and choice select one from among those possibilities, bringing it into being. This is the intuitive picture. This is what it feels like to make a choice. But the block universe says the future is not open. The future is a fixed region of a static four-dimensional geometric object. The outcome of your next decision is already located at a specific coordinate in space-time. It is already there. You are moving toward it, your consciousness illuminating it frame by frame, and your subjective experience of deliberation and choice is simply the projector light reaching the next frame and reading what was already printed on it. The machinery behind this is the deterministic structure of physical law. The equations that govern how matter and energy evolve through time, whether we are talking about Newton's laws, Maxwell's equations for electromagnetism, or Einstein's equations for gravity, all share a common feature. They are deterministic. Given a complete specification of the state of a physical system at one moment, the equations tell you, with mathematical precision, what the state of that system will be at every future moment. The future is not computed on the fly. The future is already implicit in the present state, and the present state is already implicit in the past state, all the way back through an unbroken chain of cause and effect. Your brain is a physical system. It is built from atoms, and those atoms obey physical laws. The neurons that fire when you make a decision, the electrochemical signals that cascade through your cortex, the synaptic connections that weight one outcome over another, all of this is physical machinery governed by equations. Equations that, in principle, given complete information about the state of every particle in your brain at this moment, would yield a complete prediction of every thought you are about to have, every word you are about to speak, every choice you are about to make. The feeling that you are the author of your next action, that you could genuinely do otherwise, does not survive contact with the physics. Some people reach for quantum mechanics at this point, hoping that the fundamental randomness built into the quantum description of matter opens the door to a different kind of future, one that is genuinely undetermined rather than fixed in a block. It is a reasonable instinct. Quantum mechanics does introduce a form of fundamental indeterminism at the subatomic level. The exact moment a radioactive nucleus decays, the exact position a particle is found when measured, these are not predicted with certainty by quantum theory, but only with probabilities. But notice what quantum randomness does not give you. It does not give you authorship. If your brain's next action is determined by a deterministic chain of physical law, you did not author it. But if your brain's next action is influenced by quantum randomness, you still did not author it. You were simply subject to a different kind of physics. Random outcomes are not chosen outcomes. Replacing a determined future with a random future does not restore free will in any meaningful sense. It simply moves the conversation from inevitability to chance, and neither inevitability nor chance is the same thing as genuine choice. Return to light because it is the anchor of all of this. The fact that the speed of light is constant for all observers is not a minor technicality. It is the structural reason that space and time are woven together into a single geometric fabric. It is the reason that moving observers have tilted slices of now. It is the reason that the relativity of simultaneity is real and not just apparent. And it is the reason that the block universe is not a philosophical speculation but a direct consequence of experimental physics. Light is not trapped in time in the sense of being stuck or constrained. Light is the speed limit that defines the geometry of space-time itself. The finite speed of light is the enforcing mechanism of the structure in which all events, past, present, and future, already exist as fixed coordinates. When you watch a star in the night sky, you are not seeing the star as it is now. You are seeing light that left that star years ago, decades ago, centuries ago, depending on the star's distance. The star you see might not even exist anymore. What you are receiving is a signal from a past event, a moment that is long past in your frame but which reached your eyes only now because light, for all its speed, still takes time to cross the distances of space. The finite speed of light means that looking into space is looking into the past. Every telescope is a time machine pointing backward. But that same logic, run through the relativity of simultaneity and applied to observers in motion, tells you that what counts as now for some observers includes your future. The geometry does not distinguish between past and future in the way our intuitions do. Both directions along the time axis are equally real regions of the four-dimensional block. This is the conclusion that the physics delivers clearly and without ambiguity. The universe is not a process. It is a structure. Your life is not being lived in the sense of unfolding moment by moment into an open future. Your world line is already drawn, a complete thread running through the four-dimensional fabric from the first moment of your biological existence to the last. The consciousness riding that world line experiences it as a journey, as a sequence of choices and moments, as a story with an uncertain outcome. But the physics says the outcome is not uncertain. The physics says the story is already written, the real is already complete, and what feels like the living present is simply the projector light moving through frames that were printed long before it arrived. Light travels at a fixed speed, and that single fact is enough. It is enough to tie space and time together. It is enough to make simultaneity relative. It is enough to give distant observers a present moment that reaches into what you call your future. And it is enough to force the conclusion that the future is as real as the past, that the block is complete, and that the freedom you feel when you deliberate and choose is the most convincing illusion that a deterministic universe has ever produced.